Hello and welcome to Sidequest. This is our weekly video game show here at Geekverse. I'm your host, Dylan Musk, and I am joined by the rightful heir, the false god of the Geekverse Sidequest trivia battle, the charted Kirklin Patzer. How's it going today, my friend?
Oh, I'm doing very good. Yes, that was a beautiful intro. Can't let anyone forget. I was digging up my in the depths of my parents' dungeon for those Xbox 360 games to solidify my points.
Yeah. If anyone has not yet listened to that trivia battle, go do so. Won't spoil why Kirklin may or may not have been robbed. You can go make up your own call on that. But yeah, I wanted to give you your flowers here because I mean you did great. You did great. Did you win? Who knows? People have to listen to the episode and decide for themselves to choose your own adventure. Today, though, we are talking about some of the games we've been playing. I don't know what you've been playing, so I'm excited to find out what that is. And then the big news headlining, of course, this week is all about Xbox. Xbox announced some changes to Game Pass and a bunch of other things. Is releasing. I just lagged out a little bit, but I think I'm fine. 7th, which is the release date of Monochrome Heights, which is a 2D platformer released by a good friend of mine who, if anyone checked out The Chosen One, that game jam I did earlier this year, I worked on that with the developer of Monochrome Heights. Fun little connection point there. I did a big interview with him that's up on the, all the feeds now. You can listen to that, released over the weekend. So yeah, go check out that game. If you like platformers, and you like hard games, this is a really, really cool game. Like I said, I haven't played the full release yet, but I've played a bunch of the betas and, demos and things like this. So it's a great game. Check it out. Monochrome Heights on Steam right now. Buy it because my friend is great and he made a really cool game. Okay, let's get into the games we've been playing. Kirklin, I'm going to throw it over to you first. What have you been playing lately?
Nice, yeah. Nothing too crazy. I did complete, since last time I was on, I did complete the first Uncharted game. I think I mentioned to you. I jumped into the Drake's collection or Uncharted collection, whatever it's called. And yeah, I had never played through the first Uncharted game ever. Uncharted 2 was the first one that I played way back in the PS3 era. Love that game so much, and for whatever reason I just stopped there. Like I think I played the demo for 3, but like never went beyond that. So yeah, I was on the PlayStation catalog, and a little while ago I was just like, yeah, whatever, I just want like a very basic linear story with some shooting, nothing like too crazy or difficult. By that point I think I was burnt out on my Elden Ring grind, so I just need something like a little bit easier. And it totally fit that just what I was looking for there. And this last weekend I was able to roll credits on the first game, and yeah, I thought it was totally fine. It's definitely not what I remember 2 being. Like just the first time going through that game, it was like the best thing of just a third person historic shooter adventure. And I just absolutely love that second game, and I do intend to go through all 3 of them, so I'm curious if it maybe won't shine as well.
Not all 4? Just the trilogy?
I kind of forgot there was a 4th. So yeah, I
that one's
should
not in the
finish them all at
collection,
least.
but that because they released the collection,
Okay.
I think for like PS4, the kind of remaster version, and then
I
then
think
did
4
afterwards.
is on the catalog, whether it was a monthly that I grabbed when it popped up, or if it's just on the catalog.
I think it is. It's just not part of that Nathan Drake collection.
Okay.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So and I've heard fantastic things about 4, especially if you're fans of the series, and really enjoyed the first one. I thought it was it had some little twist, but at just a very like simplified version of what I remember number 2 being, and I imagine it goes even crazier in 3 and 4. And it's funny, that's kind of how I felt when I played through the first Sly Cooper game when I did that collection like a long time ago. It was just like definitely the seasoning is there, like the familiar recipe, but it's just like very basic compared to where they kind of go in the second game. And yeah, no, it was lots of fun. There is the character Elena. She's she bounces in, I think, through all of the games, so it was kind of cool to see her in the first one, because when I was playing through the second one, like she just popped up. It's like, hey, we have a lot of history together. And it was just like, oh, okay. So now it's kind of fun to be able to have said that I've gone through that adventure, and yeah, it was good time. I'm definitely not going through and grabbing all the treasures like I tried to do. I think I was yeah, I told the story of how I got like 98% of the platinum for the second game way back in the day.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I'm just never gonna get it. And it's just one of those where you'd have to pull up like a YouTube video and just go collect all these treasures. And I just don't have the time to do that these days. But yeah, no, it was good.
How long was the playtime on that? Like 6 hours, 10 hours, 8 hours?
I think it was 6 hours. I have like 8 hours total, but I feel like I had a couple hours before. Like maybe I booted it up in the past and like did a mission or two, but never went too much further than that. So yeah, I think I have 8 hours total, but for that one playthrough, I think it was like 6. And I think the first one was, or sorry, the second game is pretty similar, probably a little bit more, but yeah, I imagine they're all kind of same. It kind of fits that genre of game.
I kind of think of those games as like in terms of the breaking down the gameplay of like big shootouts, climbing yellow painted objects, and like puzzles. Was there anything in that game that you're like, oh, there actually wasn't many puzzles in this one, or there was more of this, or like the puzzles were actually super good? What like was there anything surprising or unsurprising about the gameplay?
Not really. Like it's pretty much what you just covered. Especially that it's like the first in the series. It's like the most basic of those of that version. So I feel like I was a little bit underwhelmed by the puzzles. Like it didn't quite go to the level that I remember the second one being. So maybe that's just where they evolved in going from the first game to the second game. There was, I mean, like any game, the water levels just absolutely suck. So anytime that you like swimming, I just hate that so much. And the controls just felt so janky. And even just like the overall movement of the character, it just, the game feels a lot arcadier than I remember it being from back in the day. Like it, of course, way back then on the PS3, it felt like a very realistic game. But the fact that I'm just like jumping around and leaping over all the terrain, like I don't even know, like just some arcadey character. But it fits. I feel like the fact that it is just like an easy to go through game, I think I would like it a lot less if it played a lot more realistic, like if I was just getting one shot headshots and stuff like that. But no, it's fun. And there's something also very like just comforting by having those like arcadey feels, like just the gun sounds, like they just don't sound realistic at all, but like it's still just really fun. It reminds me of just like a mini clip type game, just like a side scroller shooter. I feel like it has some of those elements in there, but yeah, no, it's yeah.
When you replayed Last of Us earlier this year, did you played the whole thing, or did you just do a few hours?
I got like 80% of the way there. It's funny. The first time I played through the game, I got like 50% of the way, and then I redid it, and then I got like 80% of the way there. And for whatever, I think the show was over, and I just kind of lost some of the buzz for the Last of Us. But I got to go back and finish it. It's still installed, so I have no reason not to jump in there.
Probably just because we weren't all super jazzed on the show. So you're like, I'm not into this right
absolutely.
now.
And then I saw Last of Us Part 2 is actually available now on the catalog. So that's, again, another reason, because I've heard divisive opinions on that game. But now that I've like gone through the story of seeing the show, I think I'll just be able to enjoy the gameplay, because I've heard the gameplay is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, that was announced during the State of Play from like 2 weeks ago, which also showed off Wolverine. And all that other stuff. So what's the next Naughty Dog thing for you then? Is it going to be Last of Us Part 2? Is it finishing Part 1? Is it Uncharted 2?
I feel like I'm in a lot less of a rush to go into 2, just because I've played it before, and I don't know. It's tough though, because I didn't think I was going to be jumping into Uncharted 1, but then I just got an itch to jump into that type of game, so I could see that happening again. But I think it will be Last of Us, also just because I don't want to uninstall it until I beat it, so I'm just that much more motivated to clear up some memory in the system. And
nice.
And yeah, I just want to roll credits and see that ending, even though I know what happens. Just see it through the game version.
Right on. What else? Anything other than Uncharted?
Not really. I've been playing League every once in a while with the homies. It was fun last weekend. I think it was last weekend. We had a full 10-man like custom game, which I literally haven't done that since like high school. So that was like peak League of Legends gaming. It was fun. We had 5 of my friends, and then my one friend's brother had like a bunch of his friends, so then we just like made a full lobby, and we absolutely dominated them. It was nice. So much fun, and yeah, we just went on a tear that night. It was lots of fun. It was just reminiscing of those peak MOBA gaming nights. It was the weekend too. I think Shay was like in Vancouver, so we
Yeah.
just up till like 2 a.m. All of us were just playing League. It was
I
it was
bet it,
good
yeah, it
times.
probably had like LAN party energy to it as well. Like throwback to two
Absolutely.
separate eras of gaming.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And those nights, they're pretty rare, especially to get everyone like that many people on just all organized together these days. As we're getting older in life, it's harder to organize those things. But yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, I have two. Well, one game and then a kind of melange of games here. So, as I mentioned to you a few weeks ago, I played through Tony Hawk's 3+4, that remake that released this year, and then I was like, man, I need to play 1+2. It's still not on Game Pass. I don't know what's going on here, but it was on sale on PlayStation, so I just bought
Nice.
that finally after all these years. Even though I've been waiting and waiting, and waiting. But I just couldn't stop, so I picked up that one, and man, for weeks there, I was just like jumping between those two games, just like, what levels am I feeling tonight? Knock out some of these bonus challenges, objectives, all that fun stuff. And then I went even more insane than that and went to the used game store, of course, and picked up some of the older ones that I haven't played, and like half these discs didn't work, but thankfully they're all like $5, so not the biggest deal. But I finally played through Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5, which I'm guessing you have not played that one, Kirkland?
No, I have not.
Yeah, that was a PS4 era release, and which it's crazy. That's like years after all these other ones, and it is like one of the worst games I feel like I've ever played. The gameplay feels terrible. The movement is atrocious. They stripped out so much of like the combo-ness of it. Like when when you're like grinding and you like double tap Y or YX, whatever, you like switch to a new grind and you can like keep the combo multiplier going up.
Mhm.
It doesn't even have like that feature in there. It's like it was intended to be like a multiplayer thing where you like jump in big lobbies with your friends and pow around and stuff, but like all the maps suck and have no personality and like no flow to them. Like it's just an atrocious game. It has like horrendous like reviews and all that, and it's like 100% warranted. It is just not a good game by any stretch of the
That's
imagination. So for the fascination of it, it was interesting to check it out and knock it off the list. But yeah, I would not recommend anyone play that game. That game was just terrible. So yeah, I don't know what next. I feel like next I need to check out maybe Project 8, because I've heard actually that one's pretty good. It kind of came out after the other ones, and it's like not as good as the earlier games, but it's still like fine, still good enough. Still has like the good movement, which is the most important thing. So might check out some of that. But yeah, that was kind of my Tony Hawk journey there, continuing off. So that was good.
That's so weird that even exists. 'Cause like when I search up Tony Hawk Pro Skater, it says all the numbers except for 5. Like I actually have to put in 5. It's as if it's just like a shadow band title, and it looks odd. It looks very basic, and it's so weird that you can't do like the combos at all. Like that's such a key.
Okay, Kirkland, my other game that I've been playing, which took me like a month to play through this thing because I was kind of slowly chipping away at it, is Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater.
Ooh.
Been continuing.
Is that the new
Metal
one?
Gear
Like the
journey.
new remake one?
No, I am not playing the
Okay.
new one, even though that did just come out in August. Yeah, so I was looking into the history of this game, and my God, has it been released a lot of times. So it first released in 2004, and then they re-released it a year later in 2005, which I think was called Subsistence was the like version difference there, and it pretty much changed it from like top-down camera to like more third-person traditional camera. That was like I think the main change between those two versions. And then it released like a year or two later as it was ported to the PSP, which I think probably had that same version. And then in 2011, it was released in like an HD version or HD collection, which once again, I think all of them use Subsistence, like the 3D camera from this point on. And then it was released again in 2023 and is part of the Master Collection, which I'm pretty sure is the exact same as that HD collection, but it just had like a couple other games in the mix with it, but it was like the same version of Metal Gear Solid 3. And then, of course, as you just mentioned, 2025 August, Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta Snake Eater was released, which is like a remake. Although I think it might be a remaster with some other weird, like I don't know where it is on that scope of things. From what I understand, though, it is like pretty much a 1-to-1 remake, but it's even more like the controls are just more straightforward. Because even though this version This older version like had third person like controls. It's still very janky. Like it's not kind of what you'd expect for a regular third person game in the year 2025. So anyway, I am playing the 2023 Master Collection version, which I'm pretty sure is, like I said, that 2011 HD remaster, which is a remaster of that second released version, which had the third person camera. So
That's confusing.
that's not confusing at all, right? that's pretty straightforward. Yeah, so the reason I'm playing this version is because, well, I already bought this game. As I talked about on Sidequest, I played through Metal Gear Solid 1, and I can't remember if I did talk about my time with Metal Gear Solid 2. I played through about half that game and really just hated it, and said, F it, I'm not going to finish this, and then just watched like a YouTube playthrough like for the second half of the game to see, you know, what are the set pieces, bosses, story stuff that I missed. So yeah, I just gave up on Metal Gear Solid 2, so I don't know if I talked about that on SideQuest at all. And then finally, with the release of the new one, I was like, you know what, I'm going to jump back and play 3, even if I'm not playing the newest version. That's fine. I can still kind of have some fun here, play Metal Gear Solid 3 along with a lot of other people. And I will say, like, it's an interesting thing that they released this big remake first instead of like 1 or 2, but I actually think it makes sense because this is a prequel. Like, this is the in the timeline, I guess, like the first thing that happens, so it kind of makes sense for this to be the first one that they release in that perspective. And yeah, I've beat the game. I did finish this one, unlike Metal Gear Solid 2. I will say though, even though I didn't really enjoy it a whole lot more than Metal Gear Solid 2, and I'm just maybe a little disappointed because I played Metal Gear Solid 1 finally for the first time last year ish, and really enjoyed that game. I'm like, man, this is cool. Like, I've always missed this series, and I finally played it and really enjoyed it. And yes, it's old, and the controls are super jank, and it's really confusing, and the story is super weird, but like I still really enjoyed it. And then 2 was not the case, and then 3 not really the case again. When it comes down to it, the most simple way I can put it is like, the story is not good or interesting, and the pacing sucks, and the gameplay isn't fun. It's like that sounds extremely cruel, but like that is just kind of how I felt. Like, there are some highlights, some good moments, some funny characters, and weird things that happen, which I enjoy. But for the most part, like this game just didn't really do anything for me, which is too bad. So I believe you've only played 4 really, and then like a bit of 5, like the prequel thing, right? I don't think you've played this one, right?
Yeah, no, 4 was the introduction to Metal Gear Solid for me, and then I think it was like a playable demo thing, but it was like
yeah, I forget what that's called.
Wings of Liberty or something like that. I don't know.
Well, that was the. I think no, that was StarCraft, wasn't StarCraft Wings of Liberty?
Yeah, it was. It has some title like that though. It's something Liberty or something. Of freedom.
Liberty. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, there was some weird prequel kind of freeware
Guns of the
thing,
Patriots. That was the one I played, number 4.
Yes, there you go. But yeah, so this game is interesting from the prequel perspective, and that's not something I knew going into. So the first hour or two, I was extremely confused. I'm like, why is he a rookie? Why does he not know anything? Why does he not know some of these people? And then eventually I clued in on that. This game is really funny. I feel like there's so many things in this that did remind me a lot of Death Stranding, and I mentioned this to Travis on Cast, that there is like a reference to a movie called On the Beach in this game, which is weird considering all these years later he released Death Stranding 2 On the Beach, and obviously really likes that name and that movie and all these references. But like also this game, much like Death Stranding 1, opens with just like so much cutscene and exposition before you get to play the game, like more than I feel like I've ever seen from a game this old. I feel like it's like maybe an hour and a half of like maybe you walk like 10 steps like with the controller, and then the rest of it is just like explaining all these organizations and like these concepts of giant mech creatures, and then like the state of like these different countries and like where they're at in the war, and introducing all these characters, and it's like maybe 10% of that is like cool stuff, and most of it is just like, I don't know, Kojima just loves tech and weaponry and things like that, and he just loves to talk about them through the mouth of a character in one of these games, and I just think sometimes he's just so far up his own ass that like, what are we even doing here? Like, none of this makes sense or is interesting in any way, so that's too bad. And then I think it really gets away from that, but then there are a lot of cutscenes and a lot of sequences where there's not a lot of gameplay in between another big cutscene chunk. And I will say, to the game's credit, I think the ending, like the actual final cutscene, there's some good twists in there, some good character moments. I think it comes together in a pretty nice way. And does a good job of setting up Metal Gear Solid 1, which would obviously be the next one in the timeline. So can I kind of connects in that way. But then from what I understand, some of the characters that are big players in this game are big players in Metal Gear Solid 4. So I think it kind of works either way. Are you going to go back and play the original one, play it in timeline order, or are you going to play the games in like series release order? Either way, you're getting like a good experience or a good setup in that way. So there's some good stuff going on there. I guess my main question for you with Metal Gear Solid 4 is, especially because you're a Hitman fan, you're a Dishonored fan, like, do you have much memory of the stealth? Was the stealth super good in Metal Gear Solid 4? I'm just curious how much you remember that, because I know it's been a few years, but yeah.
No, I remember that being like one of the things that blew my mind the most out of like that era of gaming was just I hadn't played a game that had stealth like that. Like especially when you get like a certain camouflage suit that you can just blend into like any surrounding, and it's just so sweet. Like army crawling around, and then you just like completely blend into any environment. And I just remember loving like crawling around, taking people out with your little electric knife, your little shock knife thing, and then you also just had some nice snipers that you had access to. So I remember really loving the stealth. Again, that was a PS3 era game that I have not revisited, so it could be really, really horrible to today's standards, but at the time, it was definitely a game changer.
Yeah. I mean, I think the stealth, for the most part, worked for me pretty well in Metal Gear Solid 1, but then something about 2 and 3, I guess it feels so messy, which is maybe like intentional, but I just feel like it's so hard to get through an area without getting caught, and it's very unclear to me when I'm gonna get caught and like what's gonna cause to go into this frenzy. And then compared to other games, I feel like a lot of stealth games, you get caught and like, there's that initial period where they're not like fully hunting you down, and you can like, okay, if I get back into cover pretty quick, like, they'll leave me alone. And I just feel like that happens pretty rarely in this game. Like most of the time it goes into like a full-on chase, and I'm like way in the weeds, and it's like, okay, now I just got to kill everyone and fight through it that way. And like, that's fine, but once again, the controls in this game are so janky that it's like I'm not going to have a fun action battle between these people, because you have to like, you go into like first person mode by holding that down. Then you have to like click a button to ready your gun, and then like click the actual button to like shoot. And so it just feels like I don't have enough fingers on my hand to do all these things that you want me to do, mixed with like moving the control stick and actually like aiming at things. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like something about 1 got the stealth balance right, and then I feel like with 2 and 3, it feels like they're just trying to amp up the difficulty of the stealth. And I, to be honest, played this game on the lowest difficulty, and still the stealth just felt kind of impossible. Like maybe if I kept loading and reloading saves and doing it over and over again, I could have got through these sections stealthily, but it just felt kind of impossible, which I think is too bad, because there are so many tools in this game. Like tons of weapons you can equip, and then like tons of different tools, and you can only equip a certain amount, so you kind of switch them out. And so many of them are really interesting and cool, and it's almost like Death Stranding 2 had a lot of that as well, where it's like there's so many interesting weapons and tech and tools in here, but just like finding the situations where they actually make sense to use rather than just like your tranq pistol just doesn't, like, I feel like there's a lot of room for creativity that I don't have, which I feel like is a criticism a lot of people throw at like Dishonored, just like, oh yeah, this game is really creative, there's lots of cool things you can do, but I'm not personally creative enough to find those things out, and therefore it's not that cool. And I guess that's just unfortunately how I feel about this game, and kind of how I felt about Death Stranding a little bit as well. Like there's just so many cool things in there that just don't really feel integrated, or like maybe tutorialized in the right way or something. So that's too bad. And then I think that also kind of extends to the boss fights. There's a lot of fun boss fights in here in terms of like their naming or their theming. And after I beat the game and learned about some of like the crazy things you can do to like beat these bosses in cheesy ways, it's like, man, that stuff is really cool, but I just never would have discovered that stuff on my own. So I feel like I don't know if the intention is you play this game and then you go online and like read, wiki guides, or you talk with your friends at school and someone tells you, oh, you can do this crazy thing to like cheese this boss, and then you play the game again and it like blows your mind when that happens. So I don't know, maybe that's like how it was intended to be ingested, but for me, there's just so many cool mechanics in here that I just never really knew existed when I was actually playing the game, because they're so obscure and you wouldn't think to do them, and like no other game has things like this. So you just like don't have that like ready because you're not used to it. It's not like it taught to you from other games, because this game is pretty unique in that way. So it's a weird backhanded compliment for the game I'm giving, where it's like too cool and creative for me, I guess personally, which is unfortunate. Did you find that is the case with Metal Gear Solid 4? Did you find any like weird mechanic things that you just couldn't quite connect with?
There's definitely a lot of equipment that I did not utilize at all. Like I remember there being like different variations of like the throwables that I probably just never used like at all. And it's funny you mentioning like the stealth being very difficult to the point that it would just end in a shootout. I do remember having shootouts a lot. So I remember having cool stealth mechanics to utilize, and there is like certain missions that like you have to be stealthy, but also because it's been so long, like very well could have ended every single mission in a massive firefight without me fully remembering. So maybe prepare for that if you eventually get to 4. Do you think you're gonna keep going with the series?
Yeah, I want to for sure. Metal Gear Solid 4 is a tricky one in that it's just not easy to play right now. Like I guess the only way would be to buy a PlayStation 3, find the disc, or like get an emulator on PC that has like a PS3 emulator, right? Like I think that's the only way you can actually play that game right now. It's not in another collection. They haven't released it recently. And obviously like PS3 emulation on PS5 just doesn't really exist other than like games that they have streaming for, which Metal Gear Solid is not one of them on like PS Plus. So yeah, it's just unfortunately kind of tricky. So I might honestly just jump to 5, and then when 4 is like accessible, like play that one in the future. I don't know if that's crazy to do that, but the story is already such a mess that I don't know if I'm gonna like lose much by playing it out of order in that one.
Yeah, that was one thing going through 4. I did not understand a single thing of what was going on at all with any cutscene. Every cutscene too, I'm like, man, this looks gorgeous, and this is PS3, so it probably looked like terrible to today's standards, but still back then. And I was just still flabbergasted. I didn't understand why there's multiple snakes, why there's Big Boss, and and all these things, or what's going on. But yeah, it was a cool game nonetheless.
Yeah, it gets very confusing. This game does have that same kind of costume outfit system that you were talking about there, where you have like all these. I think I had like 15 different suits by the end of the game, where it's like like woodland camo, snow camo, but then you get weird ones like a scientist outfit, and that one allows you to go into certain buildings without alerting certain people.
Hitman 47.
Yeah, very much so. Like it was cool to see some of that stuff in there. Like I enjoyed some of that. I didn't feel like there was a ton of moments where you could actually like have that social stealth other than that one scientist moment, but I'm sure there's like secret suits you can unlock to do some crazy. I think one of the suits is just like him naked, just literally like unclothed. So if you're into that, or maybe that was Metal Gear Solid 2, but they've done that before. And I think the other big change they made with this one is a lot of it you are kind of stranded in a jungle type setting, deep forest sort of thing, and there's a lot of survival mechanics in this game. Like rather than just, I guess there are healing things you get, but I found like I was very rarely finding healing items. Instead, you're just finding food in the form of like snakes. Like there's many reasons the game is called Snake Eater, but one of them is that you're literally like killing snakes and eating them. And that's like one of the ways that you regenerate your stamina, which when your stamina is full, then you start to heal. But you're catching all sorts of things. And then whenever you eat it, Snake will be like, or he'll be like, ugh, and then he'll like start puking if you eat too much of these things. Things can rot in your backpack, so if it's there for too long, you just have to throw it out or it'll make him puke. And then I learned some crazy thing that if you eat a bunch of food and he's like not feeling good, in like the character whatever like status menu, you can go in there, you can like turn him around to like look at him from different angles. If you keep spinning him around, eventually he'll just get so dizzy that he just pukes, and then it like removes your stomach ache, which is like, again, that's so cool, but I didn't discover that on my own, because like who would think to do that? That's like absolutely crazy. And then at one point in the game, there's like an escort mission where you have to like feed another character and like heal them up and stuff, which actually kind of worked because it wasn't too long of a sequence, so it wasn't like extremely frustrating like a lot of escort missions are. But yeah, some of the survival stuff was pretty cool. There's like even just healing your character, like when you take damage, you have to go into this menu and you have like probably 10 or 15 different things that heal you in different ways. Like, you can put on a splint, or you can put on a bandage, or you have to take I don't know, antitoxin. You have to like put all these different things, take all these medications, put on like a different bandage or whatever, depending on what kind of injury you took, which was honestly novel for like first half of the game. And then it kind of just became like, okay, now I just have to click more buttons to heal, which is kind of annoying. It just like slows the game down once you're later on. And yeah, I don't know how much else I have to say. Like the story, like I said, didn't really do much for me. I think that some of the characters work for me. There is some funny characters in there. There's a couple characters that have a really interesting like mystique around them. The one, Eva, is like the main, I don't know, character you're interacting with throughout the game. and of course it's like cringy Kojima, like she's just over sexualized for no particular reason. But there are some stuff with her character and actual writing that is pretty well done, and like the performances in this game are pretty solid and fun. It's very Hollywood filmic in that way. That of course Kojima is a big fan of these 80s action movies and whatnot, and he's paying homage to a lot of them with this one here. So yeah, I'm glad even though I didn't enjoy it, I'm glad I played it. This is a series that I feel like, even if I'm not loving it, it still kind of deserves my time. At least playing through Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Like, I don't know if I'll go find Rising and play all these like PSP ones or whatever that existed, but just for like the 5 main games, I do want to play them. I think Metal Gear Solid 5 sounds like it has a lot of cool mechanics I think I'll really like. And then, like I mentioned, when 4 is more easily accessible, I'll want to play that one as well, especially because that is a favorite of yours. I definitely want to experience it and talk to you about it. So I will do 4. Or maybe I'll jump, like I said, maybe I'll jump to 5 next and then 4 at some point, but might take a few months break before I jump back into continue my Metal Gear journey here.
Yeah. No, there's something so fascinating about just the meta mechanics that Kojima always brought to those Metal Gear Solid games. Like, if I'm not mistaken, there was one that you have to like literally eject the disc to like progress forward in the mission. Like it's just like weird stuff like that. That
yeah.
To your point, like how do you figure that out on your first playthrough, right?
Yeah.
It's like people finding these crazy Easter eggs in games, but like this is like way back then when it was just a core part of the game. It's not like you're just trying to find something in the background. But yeah, I loved in 4. It was just so crazy to me that you could like play your character's iPod and then you could just be listening to the music like while you're going through a mission. Like games have that now, but like just back then in the PS3 era, that was so sweet. Doing like a boss battle where you just have this like crazy Japanese music going off in your character's iPod. It was great.
Speaking of that, I mean, there is a James Bond-esque like song for this game where the lyrics are like singing about Snake Eater and all this stuff, and like that song rips, and it's used at good moments. But yeah, it's funny, those like meta things. Like I think I talked about one of them with Metal Gear Solid 1 is like you have to like plug in a controller in a different port, and that's how you overcome this character who's like mind controlling you. And I played the game on Switch, and like that is just not intuitive or good on Switch because you have to like, okay, now I got to sync these controllers and go to like the Switch menu, and it just doesn't have the same feel. But like obviously, you kind of have to retain that stuff. And then one of them in this game, one of the boss fights is against this like extremely old guy. He's like 100 years old, and you can kill him by like going into your system settings and like moving the clock forward a week, and then he'll just die of old age instead of you having to fight him. And I don't know if you can do that on the Switch, like Master Collection version. Like I don't know if that's possible to do. And like yeah, that stuff is fun, but it's only fun to an extent. Like I can kind of enjoy it from afar, unfortunately, rather than like actually experience that myself. But cool game, weird game, just not, unfortunately, not one I really enjoyed spending time to play. But hey, that's the way she goes with some of these old games. You know, it's just what happens.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. There is my time with Metal Gear Solid 3. How about now we say little shout outs to our Patreon producers: Aaron Braden, April of Darkness, Jack Grant, Sam, Superbad Mike, TGGLM69, Jeremy Renner, Charlie Rendell, Cocktail Clay, John with no H, and Sam Green. Thank you all for keeping the lights on. Over here at Geekverse, like I mentioned earlier, did a second episode of the show this week, Monochrome Heights developer interview. Go check that out. And then, we have all sorts of fun stuff releasing this week. Tron Ares is out, so we're doing a review for that. TV shows aplenty coming out right now. And, I was just talking about Tony Hawk. I have another Tony Hawk-specific episode, a ranking, that I think I'm planning on releasing next week, maybe within the next week or two. So keep an eye out for that. I'll probably put up on Patreon a few days early. Keep your eyes and ears out for that. Just subscribe, and then you can see all that stuff. Leave a review. Patreon episodes early and ad-free, all that stuff. Thank you for all the support, everyone. And how about we jump to a quick ad break, and we will be right back. Okay, we are back to talk about Xbox. So Xbox and Microsoft announced all sorts of things this week. And Kirklin, I know you're not an Xbox owner and you're not a Game Pass subscriber, but I'm sure this stuff is very interesting to you nonetheless, and we can break it down together. So the big main thing here is that they have taken Xbox Game Pass, which they reorganized the tiers and pricing like last year, and they said, you know what, we're going to do it again. And they have renamed the tiers, reworked the tiers, changed the prices and a couple other changes that we'll get into afterwards. But essentially, the way it works now is there are 4 possible tiers. They've kind of borrowed some of the PlayStation naming convention where they're using the words essential and premium now. But they could, just to make things even more confusing, PlayStation's essential tier is their lowest tier, and then extra is the mid tier, and then premium is the highest tier. Whereas for Xbox, essential is still the lowest tier, but premium is like the second tier, and then ultimate is the third tier. So, of course, confusion is, I think, part of the strategy on why they do these things. They just want you to be confused, and I'll explain why I think that's the case later on. But here we go. So this was previously called Core when they did the renaming last year, but now it's called Essential. So this and the prices I'm going to be using today are Canadian dollars because we are Canadian people. So you can convert this to local currency. $15 for so many podcasts is always American. Oh, Game Pass is $30. No, it's not. It's $34 for me, and I care about the difference. That's a big difference for me. So yes, Canadian prices here. The lowest tier is called Essential. This is $15 a month. Pretty much gives you Xbox like live, essentially like online play for console players, and gives you 50 games. So you have just a slice of the Game Pass catalog. You're not getting day one things. You just get 50 games. What games are they? Who really knows? There's probably a Doom in there. There's probably a Skyrim. I don't even know what's on that tier because how would I possibly know that? Premium is $18. This has access to 200 games, which is roughly half of the catalog of Game Pass. So which ones are they? I don't know. You better subscribe to find out. And then this one, they say you get first-party games, like the day one games within 12 months. So, Indiana Jones, Great Circle, you're not getting that day one, but you'll get it within 12 months, which essentially probably means always 1 year. I don't know. I think they say within to sound nice, but I think it's probably always going to be 1 year later. There is still PC Game Pass. This one is the only thing that hasn't really changed at all. So PC Game Pass is $20 a month. That gives you the full catalog, but it's only PC, of course. You also have access to EA Play with that one, so a bunch of EA games. And then the big head honcho, Game Pass Ultimate, which gives you access to all of the games, including the day one releases on both PC and console. It had EA Play. They've added Ubisoft Classics and Fortnite Crew to this. And this bad boy is 34 motherfucking dollars a month, Kirklin. $34. Do you know any subscriptions that are that much per month? I think Sony's highest tier is $25 Canadian or 24 or something like that.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that would be the closest to it. I subscribe to DAZN, which is the worst app ever. I pretty much just follow it for football. That's $24 a month, maybe 25.
Gotcha.
Which is a rip because that's all I get is football, but it's ridiculous. But 34, that's insane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is roughly a 50% price increase from
that's
what
insane.
it was before.
Yeah.
Insane, right? Because the strategy with these things, Netflix, Disney Plus, all that stuff is like, okay, every year or two you kick it up $1 or $2, and then it increases that much, years and years later, and then it's like, wow, compared to what it was like in 2015, what it is now, drastic difference. But by only bumping it a little bit, you keep people in because they're like, oh, okay, it's only $1 more, it's only $12 extra a year, and that's how you kind of keep people roped in. But Game Pass, I don't know. They said, you know what? Let's just jump the shark here and jump by 50% up. So yeah, the differences here and the way they're justifying this is by adding Ubisoft Classics, which is, to be clear, not Ubisoft Plus or Premium, whatever. You don't get access, you don't have Assassin's Creed Shadows on there. That's just old games. So if you want old Assassin's Creed games, probably a Rayman game or something, that's what you're getting with that, which is also part of PlayStation Plus at the highest tier. So they, it's not even a competitive advantage over PlayStation if you want to make that one-to-one comparison. And then Fortnite Crew, and I'm not a Fortnite guy, so I'm going to try my best here, but I think this is essentially the monthly season pass for Fortnite, and then some V-Bucks on top of that. So you're, I guess really the way to break it down is if you are already a Game Pass Ultimate subscriber and you buy the Fortnite thing every month, then I think you actually are saving money with this new Game Pass Ultimate thing. But if you are not that very specific person that somehow has time to play tons of Fortnite and 500 Game Pass games, then okay, you can save maybe $1 or $2 or something. I don't know what it actually works out to. So those are the new things for it. And then the other kind of smaller changes is well, actually, this was a kind of a big one, but previously, a lot of games, if not all of them, if there was a game on Game Pass, if you went to the store and you wanted to buy that game, there would be a discount on that game. That's kind of the same for PlayStation, I think, for a lot of those games. If you see it in Play, PS Plus, you can get like maybe 25% off or whatever it is if you just want to buy the game straight up. So they removed that from Game Pass. That discount for the games is just gone now. That no longer exists. And then they've always had this thing called Microsoft Rewards, which is like when you buy stuff, you get like money back. They've added like they've changed the caps on these, and they've kind of reworked it a little bit. One of those things, I have never understood how it works, so I'm probably losing out. Like, I probably could save some money if I knew how this worked and like take advantage of it as someone who subscribes to Game Pass and buys some things on Xbox. But I've never understood how it works, and they've changed that around too. So those are the changes. But yeah, the biggest whopper, of course, being that big price increase to Game Pass Ultimate. There's some other Xbox things afterwards, but Kirkland, just throwing all that at you. What do you think about these big Xbox changes? And I don't know, does it make any sense to you? Can you see the vision?
Other than just like business wise, like maybe they're a lot more in the hole than it seems. These seems like aggressive like financial moves of like, okay, like we're not making money here. This is like, got to put our foot down, got to make some big decisions. Just from what I've seen online and the overall buzz, it's been pretty negative, and just of course like the memes going around where like the website was just crashing because everybody was trying to unsubscribe. That's pretty crazy to me. So as someone that doesn't own an Xbox and isn't a Game Pass user and has no skin in the game, I'm just on the sideline with my popcorn, just enjoying my PlayStation catalog, and happy it's not my my company that's making those moves to affect me. But no, it's brutal because Game Pass has been just fantastic, and although like PlayStation has like a really good catalog of what they've had, I feel like what Game Pass has, especially just combining it with the the PC catalog with the console, like it just seems like it was such a fantastic system since launch, really. Like it's just been so fantastic, where this is like the first real here we go, like what are they doing here? But I imagine they're doing it for business decisions, but it's unfortunate for the users because that's a steep dollar increase, and I'm glad we did do those Canadian numbers, because I feel like I always hear the American ones and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's high, but it's nothing too crazy. And then what? Oh gosh, come on, Canadian dollars. That's
yeah. I mean, what? Let me, because my math skills are not great. Calculator app. 34 times 12, so yearly. If you're subscribed to Game Pass Ultimate for a year, that's $408. That's gosh. It's fucked. Yeah, that's absolutely.
I'd rather just not subscribe to that and buy like a Steam Deck at the end of the year. You know?
Plus taxes too. So add another $450. Call it. For us BC residents here. Yeah, I mean, this is it is an insane amount of price increase. I mean, there was a price increase. Well, it's consistently like every year. I feel like they've been bumping it up a little bit, but they've been doing what I said earlier of just like $1 or $2, and it's like, okay, it's reasonable, it's fine, it's good enough. But last year they did like another big one that was jumped it up to like $25, $26, something like that Canadian every year or every month, not every year. I wish. And at that point, that last year for me, that was the straw that broke the camel's back, where for years I was just subscribed because it was low enough where I got a lot of value out of it, and it was low enough that it wasn't impacting the bank account too much. So I'm just going to stay subscribed, easier, because then I can just play all these things. And even if there's a month where I don't play a lot or don't play at all, even, it's like, it's fine. It's not too big of a deal. But yeah, when they did that price increase last year, I canceled my Game Pass immediately and left it canceled for a few months. And I guess I'll put it this way. In the last 12 months, I've probably been subscribed to Game Pass for 6 of those months maybe, which is, half the year down from like a full year. And that's just me personally, of course. But like, at least like they were getting 12 months out of me every year for like 4 years or whatever it was. But then that dropped down to six months of the year roughly. And now after this, like, I don't know, maybe I'll spend 2 or 3 months a year subscribed. Like I'll just wait for a bunch of things to build up, when there's like 10 new day one games have dropped, and I'll subscribe in April and play everything that came out from like January to April in that month. I'm just trying to blast through it all in a month, get through as much as I can, then cancel it again. That'll probably be my strategy going forward. So like for me personally, they're going to lose money. And then I also think it just makes me just want to play things more on PlayStation. I'll probably buy more games on PlayStation, be subscribed to PS Plus more. And so a lot of that dollar value is just going to go over there. And so we'll see. I mean, obviously, a lot of people canceled immediately, as you saw with that website crashing. A lot of people on our Discord. Travis, who's like just stayed subscribed to Game Pass since like he's had a Series X for years. He finally canceled it with this one. That was what broke him. And yeah, there's going to be a lot of people like that. So I don't know. Is the price increase, is the extra money they're going to get from the people who are sticking around, is it going to outweigh the amount of people that are canceling that? We'll have to just remain to be seen. We won't really know the answer to that question for some time. And yeah, it's like unfortunate because the things that they're adding to make up for this, the things that they're calling like, we've made Game Pass even better, is Ubisoft Classics, which I don't really care about. Yeah, maybe I'll check out some of those games, but like when I do, it's like I'll subscribe to Ubisoft Plus a couple times a year, or like I did for Star Wars Outlaws, I did for Shadows, just to get a month in there, play some other games while I have those subscriptions. So like this doesn't really add value to me because I was fine just, jumping on Ubisoft every once in a while, paying $20 to like access a bunch of games for a month. So I don't care about this. And then Fortnite thing doesn't do anything for me. So now I'm getting absolutely nothing more. I'm paying like $10 more per month. So it just feels like a total slap in the face. I have a couple thoughts on this. One is the confusion angle, which I mentioned earlier. I think that is a big reason why a lot of these companies, Disney, Netflix, PlayStation Plus, Xbox, I think that's why they have all these different tiers and names, and they change this shit all the time. They change the price. Is they just want you to be so confused about it that you're just like, fuck it, I'm just going to pay for the highest tier because then I know I get everything. I don't have to worry about it. I think that is a big part of the strategy. I think that's especially intentional with Game Pass and how they fucking changed the names of these tiers last year, and they're doing it again this year. What the hell are you guys doing? That makes no sense. But once again, they just want you to be confused. Do you know what 200 games are on premium? I don't think a single person can answer that for you. No one knows what part of the Xbox catalog are the things that go into premium and what goes into that essential 50 games tier versus the ultimate tier. Like, it's so confusing. And I don't know, maybe there's a website that breaks it down in a really nice way, but then it's like every month it changes because more games leave Game Pass, more games join Game Pass. So it's just impossible to keep up. And so I guess that they're just hoping that confusion leads people to keep paying for Ultimate. And yeah, maybe they'll get a few months out of people who didn't realize that the price increased, and then they're just getting charged out the ass for another few months before they realize, oh shit, I got to cancel that because that went up a big amount. It's not actually going up for current subscribers until November 4th, so you do get like another month, I guess, at the current rate before it goes up a huge amount. For a lot of people, they just canceled anyway now. For like the statement of it, I kept mine for this month, but I'm going to cancel it like before it renews in November because I don't want to get charged that amount. Here's my crazy conspiracy theory, Kirklin. One of the other things here is this is kind of a report that apparently Xbox reportedly lost what they're saying is $300 million from Xbox PC players from Call of Duty Black Ops being on Game Pass last year. So they're guessing that they lost $300 million by people not buying the game and instead just like playing it through that Game Pass subscription, which is the first time that obviously they've had Call of Duty and could put it in there day one. Part of my conspiracy theory here is that like maybe they're doing this now. Call of Duty comes out mid-November. Maybe they're doing this now. Price increase such a ridiculous amount, want a ton of people to cancel that, so that by the time November rolls around, people are ready to pony up and pay the full price for like Call of Duty. So they're going to lose a bunch of subscribers, but they're going to make it up by like making a shit ton of more money for Call of Duty sales next month. If that is their actual strategy, like I know for a lot of these companies, it's all about that quarter and like looking at those shareholders and investors and being like, oh yeah, look at that quarter. Yeah. We were up so big. So maybe that's all that matters. And then they'll like fix that issue with the Game Pass price later. I don't know. But that just seems like you've lost so much goodwill. So many people are going to be pissed about this. You can't even like buy Xbox consoles right now. The price, like the tariff prices have gone up. Costco like stopped selling them. Like all these things are happening. So it's like, I don't know. That just seems like a very risky move if that is part of their plan. But that's like that's like really the only way it makes sense to me, other than like they just think the service is that freaking good that people are ready to pay that much more money for it on a monthly basis, which is a lofty presumption in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I love a conspiracy theory, and I feel like there's some substance to that theory there. It's that's a crazy number on like the projected losses of just not having Call of Duty just available on the Game Pass day one.
It is, but also they spent $70 billion for Activision Blizzard. So like, does $300 million really matter at all for Microsoft? Like, obviously for Xbox, that brand's not making a lot of money. They're not doing well. But thankfully, they're under the Microsoft umbrella, which is like the most profitable company in the world or whatever. So that's why there's like pretty much have unlimited bailouts because like they have like big monster like trillions and trillions of dollars. So like, I don't know. Does 300 million like really matter? And the other thing I'm skeptical about that number is like we don't really know what that means because I played Call of Duty Black Ops 6 through Game Pass, but I was not going to buy that game. Are they counting my number of me booting up that game from Game Pass as $80 lost? Because that's not the case. I was not going to buy that game otherwise. So are they just counting everyone who booted up on Game Pass as a loss? Because like maybe that certainly is true for a lot of people. Like I think Taylor, I don't think he bought Black Ops 6, but he would have probably if it wasn't on Game Pass. So there are people like that for sure, but I don't know how true that number actually is, you know, and we don't really have much information. That wasn't like from Xbox. They're obviously not going to like say that publicly because that not look good for them. But yeah, so I don't know how much that number really means. It's interesting. We can speculate on it, but it's hard to really quantify it too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I doubt they would ever go back to it though. Like if it's a strategy to maybe just get the number increased ready for a Call of Duty release or something. I don't think those numbers are really going to be going down if like much at all, if anything.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think the amount of backlash there would have been if they had said, "Hey, actually Call of Duty not going to be a Game Pass title again. We tried it. It didn't work for us. You're going to have to buy that game separate." People would be mad for a few days. But then people would buy it and they'd make a shit ton of money. It'd be the best selling game of the year and they would be happy and Game Pass subscriber numbers would be the same. Or maybe a little bit less. Like I don't know how many people were subscribing just for Call of Duty. I don't know. I guess they have those metrics. So maybe I'm wrong there, but I don't know how much that would really make the difference. But I think part of this is like they can't really go back on this fully, right? Because part of the increase of Ultimate, 50%, is they're offering the Fortnite crew thing in Ubisoft Classics. They have to pay, you know, Epic and Ubisoft like some amount of Game Pass now, right? Like obviously they're already splitting that pot a little bit with EA because EA Play is in there. I don't know how that works. I don't know if Xbox just like gives a lump sum to EA and says like, here's $2 billion. We're going to have this service thing and like we get all this Game Pass money. I don't think it works that way. And I doubt Epic would take that deal with Game Pass. That seems like a bad idea for them. Like I feel like now this $34, like they can't really reduce that much. Like how much more money is Xbox actually making out of this, considering that like part of that extra money has to go to Epic and Fortnite and part of it has to go a much smaller amount, I will say, to Ubisoft for the Classics catalog. So that's another thing too, is like they increase the price a ton for consumers, but I don't know how much it's actually increasing Xbox's revenue like, you know, for themselves on that monthly Game Pass amount, just because that amount is going to be split now. And that makes it, like I said, really hard to go back on this price, too, because if they want to lower it again, I don't know how much margin they actually have to do that because they still have to pay Fortnite and Epic because that's probably a contractual thing for at least a year or two. Ubisoft is a contractual thing. So, fuck, I don't know. Like, I just don't see them, like, being able to rewind this. I feel like they just can't really go back. And so it's just going to stay shitty for a while or forever, I guess.
Yeah.
To put it lightly. So yeah, like I said, I think if you are a person who subscribes to Game Pass Ultimate every month, always, and get the Fortnite Battle Pass crew, whatever the frick it's called, and some V-Bucks, okay, you probably benefit from this. Cool. You get like you can combine your subscriptions into one. You get a nice deal. I don't know if that, I assume that Fortnite stuff, you can like activate it on Xbox and then it carries over to your other like PC, Switch, wherever you play the game. I don't know. I assume so. So I guess if you're that person, cool, good for you, happy for you. And then I think if you're still, if you're a PC only person, there is a price increase here, but like $20 Canadian a month for that catalog, I still think is a good deal. And I think, you know, for years we've said Game Pass, the best deal in gaming. I think that maybe is still true for PC Game Pass specifically, but I think in terms of like just general Game Pass, I would actually give the point over to PlayStation now. I think with this price increase, the best deal in gaming, best value in gaming, I actually think is PS Plus again, which it was for years, and I think it is taking that helm back in my opinion. With, like I said, the one exception of like, I still think PC Game Pass is a damn good deal. It's a little more expensive now, but I think it's for what you're getting. I think it's still like a super duper solid deal. Although I don't think PC Game Pass has the Fortnite Ubisoft thing. Just to be clear, it only has the EA Play, but you know that's fine. Let's see what else is there about this. I think you know a lot of this all comes back to that Activision Blizzard acquisition. $70 billion. That's a lot more than 300 million. That's an amount they have to think about and worry about. And for years, it's like, okay, it's going to take us a long time before they make that money back, right? And so obviously they got to find every which way they can, digging through the couch for quarters, charging extra amounts for Game Pass. They got to do whatever they can to find that money. And so I think this all comes back to Activision Blizzard and that acquisition. And like, you know, blaming Xbox, they probably shouldn't have done that. Maybe we'll see. Like in the long run, maybe the amount of money they make from Call of Duty is worth it. But I also think like that deal should have been blocked. Like I think that is just too close to like monopolistic stuff. Like that should have been blocked by the FTC. I don't think that should have been allowed to go through. The amount of fucking layoffs that have happened because of that acquisition is sickening, and it still happens. And that's another rumor, is that more layoffs are coming, which is not even like a rumor. It's like it is going to happen at some point. It's just like which studio is going to get the kick next. It's unfortunate. So yeah, I in retrospect, like I really wish that didn't happen. And as an Xbox gamer at the time, I was like, oh, you know, I don't love the consolidation aspect of this, but I'm going to get a lot more games on Game Pass. But that's not even true. Like there aren't even a lot of Activision Blizzard things on Game Pass still, like 3-4 years later. You're now getting like day one game Call of Duty stuff, but there's not even like the entire catalog of Call of Duty games on there. Like there's just like 3 or 4 of them on there. So it's really weird. I don't know why they've taken so long to do that stuff. I don't know if it is like contracts that they can't change. But yeah, I think that ultimately just all rolls back to that. And I think if we could rewind the tape and block that and not allow that to happen, I think we'd probably be in a better world at this point. And I think that maybe would have been good for Xbox. Maybe they have to get more creative of how they're like actually going to become a profitable, like solid company instead of just like buying the rights to things and overpaying for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's see. I guess the other rumors, things going on here is one of the rumors that we've heard about this before, but it's kind of circulating again with this news, is that Xbox is potentially looking at releasing a free Game Pass tier that, it's going to be just chock full of the nastiest ads you'll ever see in your life. Play for 15 minutes. It'll be like a Kojima game. You'll get like cutscenes worth of ads every you can have 15 minutes of play.
It'll know when you're not looking at them too. It won't progress unless you're staring at that screen.
Yes, you have to like
Xbox
move the
Connect or something.
You have to like move the stick on your controller. Like you have to like be engaging with the game or something like that to move through the ad. So I don't know what that'll look like. I mean, that is horrendous. I hate the idea of having to boot up an ad mid game, or having to watch an ad before you boot up a game. So I'm really curious to see how that rollout happens. It is an offering at the very least. Like I think that's, if anything, Xbox tries so hard to like spin all these changes as like, we're giving you more options, but like that's such a fucking cold-hearted, stupid little lie. With the Game Pass free tier thing, that is a new option. That's something. You have a new way to play, and so maybe I really want to check out Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, and it's almost like a demo or something. Like I can just pay this demo with ads, I guess, of this game. We'll see what it looks like. I don't have high hopes of it being good or interesting, and that's not the way I want to enjoy video games. So I don't think I'd be checking that out much, other than the curiosity of it. And then the other thing that kind of went around, and then Xbox kind of debunked it, was people are saying, some leakers are saying that Xbox is maybe not planning to make another console. They're just going to go full third party almost. The Game Pass stuff, maybe just, keep investing in PCs, that kind of thing. And then Xbox came out and said that's not happening, but like the amount of times Xbox has directly lied in like public statements and showcases in the last few years is like astronomical at this point. Like anything that comes out of Phil Spencer, Sarah Bond, any of their mouths is just complete horseshit like half the time. So I don't know. I don't believe them. I don't think this will be their last console, and they're obviously about to release their like handheld thing, which is I think like $1,300 Canadian or something ridiculous like that, which is absolutely effed. But yeah, I think they will make another console in the future, but I don't know. That might be their last one. I'm not really sure what it'll look like, and I don't think we're anywhere close to it. I think it might still be a few years away. Would kind of be my thought there, but I don't know. What do you think could or should be the future of like Xbox and like specifically having a console to offer their services and games?
Although I'm not like an Xbox owner, I hope they continue making consoles. It just seems weird if they end up just transitioning fully to PC, because that would make me think that instead of it being like multi-cross platform, maybe it would just be PC titles, like if they completely stay away from an Xbox dedicated console. And I don't know, I don't love the idea of that. Although PlayStation definitely wins the battle when it comes to first party IPs, like big AAA titles, but
definitely.
I don't know, I still would hope that there is one great Xbox One that could still potentially come out. And I don't know, it also just seems weird because as long as I've been a gamer, it's pretty much been Nintendo, PlayStation, and Xbox, and like that's just kind of the trifecta of consoles in my mind. And I don't know, it's just bizarre. But when the rumors were going around, I didn't really believe them, but that's also just because it just seems weird to me. It's like there's no way that could actually happen, more so than it actually being a believable rumor. But yeah, it's a weird time in the Xbox mythos, and curious what's gonna come of it.
Yeah. I mean, I think at this point, like, with this, like, the reason I got a Series X was mostly for the access of Game Pass of it. Like, is cheaper than getting a new PC, and the price of Game Pass was really good. And I don't regret getting it with this change here because I still got like years of like an insane amount of value out of that service, and like played a ton of games. And every once in a while, I will jump back on that service and experience a lot of those games still. And like when a Fable comes out, I'd probably subscribe like for a month because I'd rather play Fable for $34 instead of like $110, whatever the fuck a game costs these days. And maybe for Elder Scrolls 6, I'd probably just buy that one outright. But for certain ones, I might make an exception and jump in there, and it can be worth it and all that. But yeah, like if this, obviously this is, like I said, they can't really retract on this because of all these other services that are jammed into this now. So it's like I don't really see myself having much of a reason to get another Xbox in the future if it's just for like a Game Pass subscription here or there. If you're like, yeah, I'll probably just get a PC, and that's how I can get access to those games when I want to. So that would probably be how I would go about that in the future. So I don't even, if they do release one, I don't think I have much reason to pick it up myself. I think the only exception could be another rumor that I think me and Taylor talked about a few months ago, is that Xbox maybe had been looking at getting Steam integration with, I don't know if it'd be specifically the Series X or just like their next console in general. But if I could access my entire Steam library from my Xbox, like that is huge. And obviously Steam sales and things like this, like there's so much great value to be had there. So if the next Xbox had Steam integration, maybe I would consider it. I feel like that would kind of be the one thing at this point. But at that rate, like probably just get a new PC, right? And like even if it's a few $100 more than what the new Xbox costs. But I mean, even once again with these tariffs and stuff, like the Xbox prices are going up over time, even though it's older tech, which is insane. So not looking great for this company, and it's too bad because man, there was like 2 or 3 years there where they were fucking crushing it. And this is an amazing year for Game Pass. Like the amount of big games that it came out are coming out still. The third-party support was super good. Hollow Knight, Expedition 33, probably the 2 best games of the year in Game Pass day one. That's super cool. Xbox has got some good stuff. They have good things coming out this month in Ninja Gaiden, Outer Worlds 2. So yeah, it's too bad that like this is almost like their swan song to me in a way where it's like, like I said, I will still subscribe every once in a while. But yeah, like this was also another great year and they've been keeping it up. But obviously, if they're having a good year, it means that they've been spending a fuck ton of money to get licensing deals or like whatever to get these games in Game Pass. So obviously the prices, their costs don't make any sense for the value, but still, now you're asking me to pony up for that, error. It's not happening, dog. So, it's too bad. If anyone else wants to see a lot more discussion about this, the Discord was ablaze with this one. A lot of people talking about it and some other rumors and things that didn't get brought up here. But yeah, Kirkland, any other final thoughts on all this Xbox news that we just kind of devoured?
Do you think Phil Spencer's nearing his end times?
Yeah, I wonder if this is... I don't know how any of this stuff works. If he's doing some crazy last-ditch things... Maybe that leads to him getting like a bigger retirement package or something like that because he increased these next couple quarters because, through some like schemy fucking ways, but then he just totally sewers like the next person who takes over. Yeah, I mean, I think it's time for him to go. I think this whole fucking crew, like get rid of Sarah Bond, get rid of Matt Booty, all those 3, the triage, the top 3, I think all of them need to go. But I don't know, like, who do you put in that spot? Like, I don't know. That's like a extremely hard job to fill at this point, considering how much they've really just borked a lot of this strategy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, difficult job for anyone for sure. But yeah, I think I for years I was kind of like, yeah, keep Phil around. He's making some good stuff. But then when he started just lying all the time publicly, I was like, okay, fuck this guy. Like, I can't defend him anymore. And then, yeah, Travis posted a thing too in the Discord that was funny that apparently someone's claiming that like Phil Spencer, like, there's someone literally on payroll at Xbox that just like plays games under his account so that it makes him look like he plays more things, so people think he's an actual gamer and stuff, which is like, I don't know if I believe that one. That seems like a bit too harebrained for me, but it would not shock me, honestly, because like Elon Musk got caught doing that, and they're one and the same, these billionaire sickos.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I could see him doing something like that, which is just so weird and gross. But it's the way she goes.
Yeah.
Kirklin, thank you. I know you're not an Xbox guy, but thank you for joining me nonetheless on this and offering your commentary, which is always appreciated. Hopefully next time we can talk about Xbox, it's like good news, but it feels like that is rare these days. But I don't know. We'll see. They have a couple games coming out this month. I might play a couple of them, so we'll see what happens with that. But thank you for joining me. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Once again, go check out Monochrome Heights if you want to play a cool 2D platformer. And we will be back again next week, as we always are. Thank you so much for listening. Bye-bye.
Bye.